In this video, computer. I don't know what to do. That's right, you've been sentenced to floor time. I'm nervous, kind of. Surprisingly not as much as I thought I would be. Thumbnail material. Hello everybody, and welcome to my most ambitious project yet. Now, get ready, that is a line you will likely hear a pretty good bit throughout the year, but as it stands here on December 21st, this is the first time you're hearing it, so welcome to the party. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Austin. You can also call me Shexby. I'm a full-time mechanical engineering student. I am a part-time social media enthusiast, part-time aerodynamicist for our school's racing team, and then a part-time employee at a nondescript tech store. Pretty decent mix of the most random experience and things you've ever heard known to mankind, especially saying I'm taking on a task that I've never really worked with computers in this kind of element before, nor am I a comp sci major, but I'm taking on something fun. So we shall see how this goes. And I would like to also forewarn a lot of people with this. I have never worked on a computer to the element that I am intending on working on one before. I've never built my own computer before. I don't even have a PC tower. I'm cooking off of a gaming laptop that I bought when I was going into engineering. So I've never worked on a tower like this before. I've never opened one up and done maintenance. I am Microsoft certified with my nondescript branded tech store that I'm employed to, but I've never gotten into the nitty-gritty of doing the things I'm intending on doing here, where I'm going to be switching to a different operating system. I'm going to be opening this thing up. I may clean up and redo the thermal paste on it just to make sure she's nice and cool and not crispy, flaky, and trying to set temperature records higher than an engine with no coolant in it. We are going to be learning something here is the important message. I've never done anything like this before. So we are all going to be learning together. Or the people who are experienced, please let me know exactly what I'm doing wrong. I will take any and all feedback and appreciate that greatly. Until then, I am fresh, I am learning on the go, and I'm hopefully going to make mistakes that I can be corrected on, or maybe you guys can use this video as inspiration on what not to do if you decide to take on this project on your own. So until then, thank you guys for joining me. I hope I can prove maybe some of you guys wrong, or prove that I'm more capable than I think that I am in some capacities with an instance like this, because this stuff gets complicated. But I want to do it. I really want to do it. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. Building a server is something I've been wanting to do for a little bit of time now. It's been on my to-do list, but I've never had the means to do it, nor really gone out and done something like that. Now, as I'm recording today, I have already purchased a computer that I'm going to turn into a server. Don't remember the exact year on it, but it's going to be a 8000s series Intel 8700. So nice little i7, 16 gigabytes of RAM, has a 256 gig SSD already booted in there, but it is one of the older Dell Optiplexes, specifically the 3630. So it has 4 drive bay add-on options, which gives me a little bit of future proofing here, since the server is going to be pretty important to storing a lot of my important information and hosting things for my own enjoyment. One of the big things and one of the big reasons that I'm getting into doing this is I want to move away from cloud storage. Yes, the thing that we all hate, the thing we all want to escape, subscriptions. Specifically, I want to get away from Google because I'm tired of saving game clips and saving clips from my dash cam in my car, only to have Google scream at me that I'm getting close to the limit. So, moving over to something like this, I can go ahead and run it on my server, back it up, and then I can hopefully wirelessly access it anytime I need to, probably through a VPN to spot into the system, but that's something I'll be able to do come time on setup. So my big focuses for this project are going to be storing photos off of my phone, so I don't have 200 gigabytes stored of just nothing but photos and videos from the events I've been at, the things I've done, the games I've played, and everything under the sun at this point. I also can offload all of my photography photos I've taken during my ventures and passions of doing automotive photography, motorsport photography, and everything of that instance. But I also want to be able to access this wirelessly through any computer, no matter where I'm at, through like a VPN service or something of that sort. And another big thing is I want to host a Minecraft server off of it. This has been something I've kind of wanted for a while because I don't want to pay for realms. I don't think This is the age of subscriptions where I don't want to pay for anything. So I'd like this to be able to host a Minecraft server for me and my friends, or even just me, to go and play and get on whenever I want to at any point and not have to worry about losing all of my save data if I go and swap out a computer or something. Totally don't have experience with that. But regardless, that's another big goal that I want to end on here. Photos, backup. I want to store all my files from all the videos that I've taken, all my modeling projects that I've done, since I do a lot of CAD modeling, I do a lot of experimentation and simulation-based software. I want to be able to store all of this in a safe area and not have this hog all of the storage on my phone, my computer, and everything. So the server will be a culmination of storage for me, while also being a secondary area of security in some sense. So thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you guys for joining me on this video. And if you're enjoying the content, feel free to leave a follow. This is probably going to be the year of tech. I don't know if I'll be doing a lot of gaming videos, but expect a boatload of random tech and automotive videos this year. So am I switching niches? Kind of. I'm just going into real things. Who knows? Maybe you'll find a PC video. Maybe you'll find PC flipping videos. Building my first computer. Working with 3D printers for the first time. Setting up my own 3D printer. Project car. Project go-kart. You never know. Feel free to give a follow along and join the journey and see exactly what's going to happen this year, because I'm ready for it. It's going to be a great year, and I hope you guys are ready for it too. Until then, thank you guys so very much for showing up today. I appreciate all of you. Let's look forward to a fantastic 2026, and I'm looking forward to being at the helm with you guys. So take care. God bless you all. I'll see you shortly. Me in my garage, got my brand new Dell Optiplex or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm definitely quite happy with the way that this thing looks, because it looks a significantly higher quality than I was hoping for. It's also very clean. So big shout out to the eBay seller. I'm gonna have to give him some big props, because this thing is almost as clean as like it just came off the factory line. I just bought this from a store, which, speaking of a store, I'm a little upset because as I was recording this, I just received a message that my package has been delayed for my hard drives. So they are currently stuck in Virginia. That's great. I want to get started monkeying on this, but I don't know what I should do. I don't know what to... I don't know. I decided to do a little check. The RAM has been seated properly. Everything's looking in a very, very good shape from so far of what I've seen. So I think what I'm going to do is pack and wrap this unit up and then prepare to give it on for its first boot and then kind of go from there. Hello everybody, and welcome to a little bit of commentary going forward. So this is going to be a common thing throughout this series here, because there's a lot of bits where I'm just doing work, I'm very quiet, the audio is not that great, so it's just going to be kind of jumping and skipping through some parts, which I will explain in this kind of commentary, but I just wanted to add on a little bit of something so I can kind of explain what's happening a little bit better, so you're not watching a 6-hour episode of me assembling a computer, because I don't think that's what you're here for. So to fill in what's happened so far, first off, the computer was in great condition. When I unpacked it, it was nice and safely wrapped with a ton of packing peanuts and bubble wrap, which the bubble wrap was kind of fun, honestly, I can't lie. I am a fucking child. And then we unpacked it, we brought it out, set it on the desk, opened it up. It looked great. It was in great condition. This thing has been very clearly cleaned. It's been very properly maintained. I'm very happy with it overall. So they did a fantastic job with packing it. Props to the eBay seller that I bought it off of. And I wanted to go ahead and start to set it up because I have a new toy. I want to set it up and see if it functions. So I got it in position. I did the little look. Everything was seated properly. The CMOS and the RAM were all happy. So I decided, okay, well, let's try and fire this thing on. So I set it up. I get it ready. And then I need to plug in a monitor, only to realize that I did not look at the display options, at least close enough. And by not looking close enough, I did not realize, one, that there was no HDMI, but it had a display port and what I initially thought was a VGA connection. There's no HDMI.
Oh, come on, man.
So I realized I needed to go to the store and I needed to go grab a display connector. We're gonna go on an adventure, guys. Taco Bell. Oh, lots of cables. Yeah, fucking got it. Nailed it. Goods acquired. Back to car. Race car. Good evening, gamers. We have a cable. I don't know why I did that. We have a monitor cable. Now, we are going to test and see if this monitor accepts VGA connections. Even though it does. I heard it was broken from a friend. Let's test that theory. As I returned home and I had received my brand new VGA cable, I then realized I had made two errors. The first error being I was trying to fit a square block in a circle hole. That meaning that I bought a male connection to connect into a male input. Yes, it is big brain time here. But I also made the error of misidentifying the port. That was not a VGA. That was a serial port. I had assumed it was a VGA port. I forgot serial port exists. Welcome to the 2025 experience. But by the time you're seeing this is 2026. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what year it is. I misidentified it. It was not a serial port. It was in fact a VGA. So I feel like an absolute moron. So it indeed turns out my speculations about myself were correct. I am indeed special. It turns out I did not purchase the correct cable. And to make a long story short, yeah, I tried to stick a square block into a circle hole. I'm getting the DisplayPort to HDMI connector, so I can just connect my existing HDMI into that, or HDMI into the TV, or HDMI into literally anything else, because that is the most common connector at this point. Cheese. So as I returned from work and first being told that it was a serial port and realizing how much of a moron I actually was at this point, but also getting the adapter home, I decided to go ahead and give it a crack at trying to get it to post. So I decided to hook in the DisplayPort 2 HDMI adapter, but I also had it running to my monitor, which was running off of a VGA to HDMI adapter. That's a double adapter hooking into one another, which typically doesn't help at all, and it does not help whatsoever. It did not show any picture on the actual monitor in and of itself, so I was already disappointed with that. But then I came up with the brilliant idea to hook it into my TV. So I took the HDMI cable out of it that I had hooked into my Xbox, and it did not post. So I had completely forgotten the fact that some computers will absolutely refuse to post unless it is a straight connector-to-connector connection. So DisplayPort to DisplayPort, HDMI to HDMI, you know, your mother to your mother, all that kind of thing. It didn't have a DisplayPort to DisplayPort connection, so it was angry with me. Which, even to this day, is a common trend. I definitely learned this the hard way on my second day of setting this up. That was rather enjoyable. I did end up keeping this attachment because I still have it on my unit, because as long as it's posted into its operating system, it will cast a picture from that adapter. But if you want to get into the BIOS menu or something, you're going to need a DisplayPort to DisplayPort monitor. After the TV situation did not work out well for me and did not post anything through the TV, I decided to give in and try the number one option that you'd typically recommend to someone who has computer issues like this: reseating the RAM.
Look at that. We have a RAM stick. I'm holding liquid gold in my hands right now. Look at that. I'm rich.
Which was a little bit scary since I'd never done that before, but honestly was pretty straightforward, I'm not gonna lie. I think I got traumatized by videos of people literally snapping their RAM when trying to install it by pressing too hard, and I was like, I don't want to do that, especially since I feel like I'm a millionaire when I hold a stick of RAM in my hand in this current society. But that's a topic for another day. It was a good experience, I can't lie. Didn't fix my problem, but it is what it is. I did end up recording the lights that I was seeing on my computer, which showed a solid green light on the power supply, showing that everything was a-okay. It did have a little flashing white light with like a cylindrical logo on the front of my Dell. And I was thinking for a moment that it was actually a code. It was giving me like a Morse code or something for something wrong, until I realized that was literally just a light showing that something was either being written or read on the actual drive itself. So that was completely out of the equation, but that signaled to me that this computer was happy and healthy. So really the thing that I needed to focus on was actually getting a display that would allow me to go and get into the BIOS menu, which I did end up needing to buy a new monitor because I was planning on building a computer. Shocker, look at that. You guys will get that in a future video here sometime soon. So I needed to buy a second monitor anyways, because I was only running off of one monitor on my current setup since it was hooked to the laptop that you see in this video here. But I decided to go and get a little 24-inch MSI Pro monitor. Has DisplayPort connections. I can use it as a vertical monitor when I inevitably get a second larger monitor down the road for better performance, since my desktop's going to be a monster. But again, this is a tale for another time. I did end up buying a monitor that has DisplayPort on it. So now we get to go play the waiting game, which I hate, get our monitor, and then set up our computer when the time is ready.
Ow. I don't know why I made that noise. That was not that difficult. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to yet another continuous part that's going to be in one video, so I don't know why I say welcome back, but welcome to the same video that you've been watching this whole time, just another day for me. So today's currently December 29th, and shipping did not mess me over again this time, and I actually got a couple packages today, so we're going to go ahead and bust some of those open and see what we got. But I know we have one thing in particular that I'm very excited about, and that is our monitor, which means we can likely boot the server today. So prepare for that, everybody. It is now time to unbox some things. So who's ready for that? I am.
And I'll go ahead and save you guys some time real quick for the unboxing of the monitor, because let's be honest, it's just setting up a monitor. There's not really that much else that's super interesting to this. So we'll go ahead and skip right on to, actually setting up the server, the fun part that you guys are listening for. Please subscribe.
And now that we have the dust off of there, it looks like a monitor.
And after assembling the monitor, I started to set it all up as you normally would. So as you can see, I'm currently wiggling around on the floor, just basically plugging in my monitor right now to get that set up. And then the thing we're going to do right after that is boot it into the BIOS. Now, I do get a little bit of a surprise when I'm attempting to boot it for the first time. I was informed there was no operating system on this. However, it decided to go into Windows 10. The beloved Windows 10. I'm so confused, still to this day. Okay. Oh, we have the Dell logo. It's working. So it's not going to have a boot drive, so it's going to get...
Huh?
Or is there an operating system on here? There shouldn't be an operating system. I'm just happy this is working. This is great. I think Windows is on here. You didn't have to cut me off. I thought this had no operating system. Huh. This is booting into Windows. I thought this had no operating system. Hold on. Wait, we gotta go check and see. Did Broski leave an OS on here? Operating system not included. I wonder if no operating system included just means there's no activation key on it. Because if there's no activation key, that would make sense. Because this is booting a Windows 10 right now. And I want to nuke that. Because
We're not running on that Windows 11. We're not running on Windows 10. We are going straight to TrueNAS.
Yeah, that's a bit of a chaotic sequence, but while I go ahead and do a little bit of maintenance on the computer in this, I'll explain. Basically, I just booted it, and it went basically straight to Windows, which, per the eBay article that I purchased it from, did not have Windows included, so I was definitely confused. Set it up real quick just to make sure it looked all good. It did have an activation key, which was interesting. I still nuked it anyways. Sorry, but it is what it is. Have to do what I gotta do, so... Once I got all that finished, I went and just searched around the settings menu because I got very curious about being back on Windows 10 again, since it's been a fat minute since I've worked on it. And I was greeted with a 1 hertz refresh rate on my display, which definitely caught me off guard.
You're telling me this is at a 1 hertz refresh rate? Are you high?
The next thing that I'm going to work on is throwing my 2 8TB drives into my computer. So we'll go ahead and do exactly that, where I'm just gonna slide that bad boy in, give her a little bit of wiggling and waggling, and there we go. And that should be nice and in now. So now what I get to do is go ahead and actually plug in all my connectors. Cool. That was nice and easy. Love that. And then I believe we have the actual power cables for this. We have our little SATA connectors. So we have 2 bundles. So that, yeah, okay. So this should be the first power connector, which it just should, I'm assuming. Maybe.
2,000 years later.
Maybe. Am I doing this right? And so that should be the installed bay for this first one. And then the second one's gonna wire down like that. So I will be first to put my hands up and say I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and that definitely took me a little bit of time to do that. And then I ran into another more prominent issue. Oh, is this a dual drive bay? This is a dual drive bay, isn't it? This looks like a dual bay. Wait a second. After realizing my mistake of failing to understand that there were only 3 total drive slots in the computer, with a possibility of 2 of those having 2 2.5-inch drive bays included inside of them, I then had to order a single 3.5 drive bay off Amazon. I had to wait 2 days to get that in the mail, and then we'd be able to pick up operations from there. But in the meantime, I put a lot of focus into actually starting the computer, which caused some more issues. So the first thing that I did completely incorrect was I accidentally flashed the operating system to the external hard drives. Yes, one of the 8TB drives, the only one that I could fit in there for the moment, I flashed it to that because my computer did not like the fact that Windows was loaded to my SSD. So it then decided I'm going to load this on the 8TB drive. And fun fact, when you have an operating system, specifically TrueNAS, loaded onto a specific drive, the rest of that drive storage is rendered useless and you are unable to load anything onto that. That quite literally means me loading that operating system onto the actual hard drive essentially just takes away 8TB of storage. I then needed to go and fix this issue, so I went and I took out the drive, unplugged it, just let it sit because otherwise it would not be happy, and I booted TrueNAS onto the NVMe drive. And it worked great, but I didn't have any storage. This then led me down a very long loophole of going into Windows through a virtual machine through my recovery media stick. I essentially nuked my drive. So I got the operating system off of it, turned it straight back into a normal drive again, and then I was able to hook everything back up and start up my unit. All right, everybody, so I'm back with yet another update. I have resorted to nuking the drive, and what I mean by that is I used my Windows Recovery Media Stick, my Hiron's boot disk, and I booted up a fake VM of Windows. I think it's a VM, I'm not sure, but I booted up a recovery version of Windows, and I've gone into the Windows command processor, and I went in and I manually cleaned off the disk. So yeah, I literally went in, list disk, selected disk, clean disk, and now I can just exit. So leaving disk part. I have literally just gone on the Windows control panel and properly nuked that drive. So yeah, very cool. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to shut this down. So I'm gonna go into settings and ensure that I have everything set up as I need to. As soon as I have it validated that I have set this up, cool. So TrueNAS is now going to be the primary, and then let's boot it and see if it's happy. If it's not happy, then, well, okay, I see a ton of okays. I think we're in the clear. I think we did it. I think we did it. It's reading the disk services. I think we did it. I think we did it. Let's go. Let's go. Hell yeah, boys. All right, cool. We're going to move on to actually configuring this. So now it's set up, and now I'm going to go and connect to TrueNAS because I think that I can now connect to the system.
And after overcoming that mountain, I was then met with yet another. Isn't that just the theme of this entire video so far? I then found out that I did not remember nor know how to actually get into my account. After I went and ported over everything to the website that I needed to, which then asked for the username and password, I remember I had set it up as an administrator. So there was a username and password. I remembered the password. I didn't know what my username was supposed to be. This sent me down a bit of a long spiral. Which you'll see transpire in the next two little clips following this, which is basically me admitting defeat and then coming back better than ever and finding out I am indeed just stupid.
Hey guys, a little small update. I'm gonna spend some time trying to figure this out, because I'm at the screen where I can log in. However, I don't have a login. So I'm gonna figure this out, because I don't know if I was supposed to sign up for something someplace, or I don't know, because I've also checked in Linux and there's no keys on anything on here. So I don't know what is going on. So I'm going to get to the bottom of this. So I'll talk to you guys here in a couple. And after contemplating my life for a couple minutes, I am now into the dashboard of TrueNAS. So yeah, we can now go and see my CPU temperature per core, CPU usage per core, which is very minimal right now, and now I can go in and actually set everything up. But it's actually nice because I can go in and see exactly how much memory is being used, the CPU usage, the CPU model even, which is quite fun to see. So yeah, now I get to go on and create a little bit more. So this is very nice. So I'm gonna pick back up with you guys here in a couple seconds once I figure out exactly what I'm doing, and I will talk to you guys again shortly.
So that was a fucking lie.
The mail has arrived. You know what that means.
Picking back up from the last video, not much really happened after. I did say there was going to be an update, however, I'll give you the update now as I am unpacking and assembling our nice little secondary drive that we have here. Basically, I turned it on, looked at all the settings, I think I configured one or two things, but I ultimately ended up doing absolutely nothing. Now, why? It's because as soon as you assign one drive to a certain type of configuration in the server, you're not able to change that. So I would have had to set that up as a singular drive, and then the other one would have had to been set up as a singular drive. You can't change it between the different RAID configurations or basically redundancy methods after you already assemble that drive as what it is in the settings. So I decided to wait until I actually got that second drive to do the final bits of setup, and then I can go in and start doing all my configuration settings that I really wanted to get to.
Speaking of RAID, a word from our sponsors, Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, trust me, I wish this was a segue to an actual sponsor video. However, I do have something to promote, fortunately. I'm starting a storefront. I will be selling things. Most of them are just going to be like little 3D modeling bits right now that I will print out. And eventually in the future, I do plan on actually releasing the STL files and other files associated with that, so you can go and print them at home yourself if you'd like to. But for the meantime, I'm just stock holding them until I get everything up and running operationally, but this is something I'm going to promote in my videos going forward. It's going to be in my link tree in my bios for all of my social medias, and I'm also going to redo my link tree so that it's not just the Sector 2 one with my stuff a little bit below, but I'll have my own link tree now, because I've been kind of, not going to lie, I've been kind of lazy on that. So, yeah, long story short, I have a storefront now. Please go check it out if you'd like to. If not, I completely understand. I'm just going to start selling on Etsy for right now. I'll move on as time goes. Until then, thank you guys. Let's take you back to the video and enjoy watching me hoon around with the server. After finishing that installation and plugging everything in, it was time to boot this up and actually commit to the final setup of this computer. And welcome everybody to the next day. Now, I did get my server started up that night and I got it operational, but I noticed a couple of things which kind of concerned me a little bit. And the first thing, and the most notable thing that was instantly catching my attention was the temperatures. My CPU on 2 of the cores reached 98 degrees Celsius. Do note, on these Intel series chipsets, 100 degrees Celsius is the critical temperature threshold. I was 2 degrees away from the danger zone of basically frying my entire CPU on the server. So, the next day, I powered that John down, and now it's time to replace the thermal paste for the first time ever, and I don't know what kind of condition we're going to see this thing in. So this is the first time that I've ever replaced thermal paste, and this experience will come in handy in a future video. Look out for that sometime soon after this video, hopefully. I replaced the thermal paste, which it was not in great shape whatsoever. I believe I ended up spending about 20 minutes trying to clean the old crusty thermal paste off of the CPU, which I finally did after a while of scrubbing and using isopropyl alcohol and all the fun stuff. After I'd cleaned everything off, I went and then cleaned off the contact patch on the actual CPU cooler itself. I will note the actual pattern kind of concerned me a little bit just because it seems like the very middle did not have much thermal putty left on it. It all was towards the edges and it was all just that ring around the outside of the CPU, which I do not know the age of that thermal paste whatsoever. It could have been freshly put on by the previous owner. It could have been on there for years for all I know. But the main thing that I did notice is that when I was setting up my server the night before, it had reached dangerously high temperatures, which you can definitely see it through the little graph. That was horrifying. In no world is this not horrifying to see. So I went ahead and replaced it because that's just the sensible thing to do. So I spent quite a bit of time doing the final bits of prepping and cleaning my CPU to actually apply the new thermal paste, in which I decided to use the X on the CPU, which I think just gave a good enough coverage and allowed it to spread under load of the actual CPU fan. So I went ahead and did that. Felt like it compressed pretty nicely. I didn't see any drips or anything around there. So I believe I successfully put on thermal paste for the first time, and that was pretty light work, if I'm going to be quite fair. I feel like I hyped myself up to believe that all of these kind of routine maintenance things or even assembly bits are just horrifying, because if I make like the smallest incorrection, everything just suddenly ceases to function, which in a world is correct. However, I'm taking so much precaution and worrying myself so much that I'm being overly cautious to not create a possible issue of that sense. After I got the CPU paste installed, I decided to go ahead and crank it back on, and the temperatures were infinitely better immediately. The most notable thing is that after I let it average out for a while, the temperatures went from about the high 70s to 90s on average to sitting in the 50s, and even I believe going down to the 40s if I was correct, which was a massive, massive improvement. But that still was not the really proper area of actual temperatures that I wanted to be hiding in. Because I know a lot of idle temperatures, you want to be sitting down near maybe like 30-ish degrees Celsius. So my next big step that I would have to do if I wanted to ensure that this server was running at its coolest and had the best performance possible, I decided to myself I needed to go and get a case fan for this thing. The decision to go get a case fan was a pretty easy one, judging by the existing fans in the actual case itself. I had one exhaust outlet on the top of the computer, I had a CPU fan blowing directly on the CPU, and then nothing else. Everything else was static pressure and static air coming inside of the case from wherever it could get into. That creates a negative pressure environment in the case, which is not really optimal for cooling. So I went to my local tech store and I picked up an actual case fan to put into the computer. My next challenge was then figuring out how to mount it. At first, I wanted to throw it on the very front of the grill of the case. But it turns out that the case fan was just a little bit too chunky, so I was unable to do that. I also noticed that none of the screws would really work as I had hoped with the case, because there were no nuts or anything that came with. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hold on a second. Wait, so how did you actually mount this thing to the case? There's this fantastic invention in the world of engineers and mechanics all alike called zip ties. The holy grail of just throw it on there and pray it works. Now you're probably asking, is that literally what you did to a case fan? Because that can create like vibration issues. And yes, that's literally what I did. I put it on the very inside of the actual case, zip tied it nice and flush, shook it around a little bit to make sure it wasn't vibrating whatsoever. And I also made sure that it was as tight as possible to the case. And I think it turned out pretty well. Aside from my server looking like an eyeless creature for a moment, the case was now receiving airflow, which is really cool. It also got a nice little touch with a blue LED light. Do I care? Not really, but it just adds something onto there. This now creates a pretty even trade-off. I decided I did not care enough to go into the BIOS and actually tune the fan settings, so it's spinning at maximum revs for the moment, which I believe is sitting 1500 RPMs for this little thermal take case fan that I picked up, but that is more than enough to help cool this server for right now. If I need to tune it, I will easily go in and tune it just that little bit later. I let the server sit overnight, and I decided to go back and look at the temperatures, and it was a miraculous change in temperatures. Not only was the CPU lower to about low 20s, 30s degrees on average, but it also lowered the temperature of the hard drive, which is a very important thing. One thing that I did neglect to say as towards the reasoning of me putting a case fan on also was not only just the CPU temperature, it was mostly to prevent any temperature issues of the hard drives themselves. Since I was running hard disk drives on the server, the most important thing is ensuring that they don't vibrate, they don't cause any mechanical wear, and one thing that can hurt them in the long run is temperatures. They can cause premature degradation and premature failures, which is not a great thing to have on a server where my biggest priority is safety and security of my data and my items. My hard drives were sitting in around the 50-degree realm, which that's not really where you want to be. I believe I saw something around you want your hard drives to be sitting in the 30 to 40 degree range, preferably the 30s, and then any 5-degree incremental increases from there on out further decreases the lifespan of those hard drives. So it was then that I decided to actually put the case fan in, and obviously we can really see the change in results in temperatures between those different additions onto the computer. So not only did my CPU drop a ton just by replacing the thermal paste, but adding this case fan boosted that even more, just to keep it as happy as I possibly can while it will be running 24/7 for who knows how long, until it won't work anymore.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the server video. So same video, just a little bit later. As we see behind me, I have a bit of a pile of junk down there. And that pile is basically all of my fun tech stuff that I've acquired via purchase and presents over Christmas. So we're going to go ahead and take all of this over to my college apartment today. So this is probably also going to be 2 separate videos because as you see here, there are definitely some things, including like, I don't know, some RAM, maybe some Noctua fans that have not been used on the server, which you can kind of guess what those are going to get used for, which also may be a reason I'm heading to the apartment today. So I'm going to go ahead and pack everything up in blue, and then we're going to hit the road and head over to my apartment. And then we're going to get set up. I'm going to finish up my server, and then I may start another build or 2 for fun. So who knows? I don't know. I'll see you guys in a quick second, though.
It's now the time that I have been waiting for so long. After assembling my server and getting it all built, it was time to take it over to my apartment, get it assembled, put it in its final resting place, and let it run. This is going to be a relatively quick but pretty fun portion. Let's have some fun.
All right, everybody, so it's been a little bit of time. Went ahead and got some food, did some other things around the house, but we have a fully packed car. So, yeah, I think we are ready to rock and roll, hit the road. We got a little bit of a trip ahead of us, but we have a nice little car too. So, let's hit the road and I'll see you guys in like an hour's time. All right, everybody, we are in my apartment and I have the load behind me. So I'm gonna enjoy a little bit of fan time for a hot second, and then I'm gonna go on and we're gonna start the server. Let's have a little bit of fun here.
I'll just go ahead and take a little practice swing.
All right, everybody, and after a little bit of organizing off screen, I have set up all of our items, and it's quite a bit, I can't lie. And hiding here in front of us are all three of our projects. We have the desktop build with our fractal design case and a bunch of other high-end components to make this the ultimate workstation. We have the 3D printer to go ahead and start manufacturing a couple things both for personal use and for possibly selling things. And then the server build, featuring our nice little Dell Precision, our battery backup, the case fans, the 2 internal drives, an extra drive bay, and then our nice little display adapter cable. Now, that is a lot of stuff, and that's also a sneak peek of what's to come on some future videos. So, I hope you guys are ready for a little bit of fun here, because I know I am. I'm gonna try and do this all in one day. I've already set up my server, I just need to make sure it transfers over properly over here. So, we're gonna be doing that first and foremost. All right, everybody, now that all of the pictures have been taken for the thumbnails and everything of that sort and editing purposes, I am now going to get started on working on my server. Now, the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my subwoofer to the other side, because I have a little soundbar on my TV, nice little small boy. I'm gonna go ahead and move that to the opposite side so that that does not thump on my server, because any bad vibrations on the server can potentially cause catastrophic damage to your hard drive, or at least increase the damage to your hard drive over time, causing premature failure. I do not want that. So I'm gonna go ahead and just move that to the other side and maybe cable manage my TV, because it's kind of a mess back there. So I'm gonna get started on that. I'll put a time lapse on my camera likely, and I will speak to you guys again shortly with another small update here soon.
And I will add a little bit of a small note onto this kind of quick skim through all the fun things that are currently happening right now. I am deciding to split up this series a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be a multi-parter. And the reason that I'm doing that is just because I don't want to compact everything into one video when there are certain things that really need more detail and analysis to go into, and I also need a little bit more time to actually process through it and get something done in preparation for a new video. What you're going to get in this video is going to be me assembling this computer, putting the operating system, booting it on, customizing it, running it and functional. The last thing I'm going to be adding on to this video is going to be me throwing a UPS onto this server. However, I'm going to delegate a couple things off to a second part just for time's sake, clarity's sake, in-depth sake. And those things that are really going to be offset right now is primarily going to be setting up a VPN where we'll be using Tailscale, setting up a Minecraft server, setting up a modded Minecraft server. There's going to be likely 3 iterations of Minecraft servers, and I want to be able to debrief all of them with you. And then one of the last things, and there will be something else, but I'm going to leave that a secret for right now. The last thing that you guys will get, and the reason why I'm saying I need a little bit more time to do it, is Immich, which, for those of you who don't know, Immich is an open source photo platform for your server that has the exact same layout as Google Photos. I pay for Google Photos. I'm tired of paying for Google Photos. I also hate how I try and pull up any of my videos over internet and they refuse to load for at least a solid 2 minutes. Those are my videos offloaded to this cloud storage. I'm on my home internet and that's fast enough. I don't need 2 minutes to open my 30-second video. I got tired of that. I'm offloading every photo, video, everything from Google Photos onto Immich.
All right, so I've gotten a little bit of progress here. I have cable managed a lot of the TV in the back, minus my Xbox and Xbox charger that are currently at home. I've plugged in the UPS, and I'm currently deciding on how I want to orient my server. I don't know if I should have it off to the side, aiming at my glass door, even though there's no airflow that'll come in. and I don't know if I should set it near or close up against the TV. Just kind of deciding on what I want to do here. So I just decided to line it up with the TV stand. I think that's probably going to be the best decision that I got. I left like a 1-inch clearance gap for that side panel just so that it has room to breathe. There's no other real areas that I think bad air would be blowing onto this unit. And it looks like the fans for the actual, or like cooling slots they have on the battery backup are mostly on the back side. There are some on the side bottom panel, but I'm not too concerned about that. If anything, there should be air from the intake getting blown out of the PCIe slots in the back of the server. That could get blown into that, so that could be good, could be bad. I'm not too sure. We're gonna find out together. So I think we're ready for a first little boot up of this battery backup. I'm also gonna look and make sure I know exactly what buttons to press to turn on silent mode as soon as I can. And we are ready to get started. Let's go ahead and do this, guys. So I need to press and hold the power button for 2 seconds to turn this thing on. And we should hear 2 short beeps if it's happy and a long beep if it's overloaded, meaning we need to unplug something. We're gonna go ahead and give that a try. And then I do know one thing is that turning off the alarm button on this specific one, since there is no mute button, it's only mode and power, is 2 quick blips of the power button. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just satisfying, you know I have to.
Nice.
Satisfying. And we have power. Now what I'm gonna do is just, it is now on mute. So if this thing happens to go into battery, I will not hear it scream at me, thankfully. And we also now know that my server is now happy, active, and running. All right, everybody, so I believe I've configured my UPS properly now. What I did to set up the UPS, because this is not something that's very well explained a whole lot around online, is I went and I set up, so to find this in TrueNAS, which I'm currently running Gold Eye build right now, 25.10.1. So what you want to do to set up a actual UPS backup on your server is on the very left panel, go down to System, and then you're going to go to Services, which should be straight across from the Credentials tab for me. At the very bottom, you'll see a UPS tab. It's probably going to say stopped, it's going to be grayed out, and it's going to have start automatically turned off because there is no UPS hooked to it right now, so it doesn't want to hook into one. So what you want to do is click the little pencil on the far right, and then you can go in and set up a couple things. I set up the identifier as the name. Of course, that's what you'll want to do for that. It's basically just a description of the device itself, so that's really all it is. For the UPS mode, I set it as master because this is going to be the one UPS that really controls this device, but also master in a technical term really describes that it's going to be the last device that shuts off when a situation happens that requires it to be shut down. For the driver, I went ahead and selected a random CyberPower one as long as it had the same type of driver type, which was the USB HID-UPS driver type, because my driver, which I believe is an LE1000DG UPS, is not an option on the driver tab for TrueNAS. So I just picked one within the CyberPower family that had that, which I'm sure this is leading into the issue that I'm having, but I went ahead and selected that just as a filler. It has the same driver style, that's all that really matters. For the port and host name, I chose auto because that pretty much works fairly well. Of course, I clicked the monitor user as myself, made a monitor password, but I also went and set up a shutdown mode. So UPS goes on battery, it will shut down now after 60 seconds. That's kind of what default is for this, except it's UPS goes on battery, shuts off after 30 seconds. Giving it a little bit of extra wiggle room since I am on 1,000 VA supply right now. So that's perfectly fine with me if I just let it run for 60. So let it run for 60 seconds. If it's still on battery power after 60 seconds and there's been no sign of power returning to the device, then my server is automatically going to shut down. Now, the UPS will stay up and active. That is something that I have programmed on here. That's perfectly fine because I also have it hooked to my internet modem. So I do have that command hosted. That's really about it. I didn't check or select anything else within the device, which I'm assuming is leading me to the issues that I'm really having here, which the issues are under the reporting tab. Then you can click the drop down on CPU. You can go down to UPS. The issue is I have no data. I don't see any of the battery. I don't see any of the input. I don't see the output. I don't see the voltage. I don't see anything. So I'm assuming that's because I have that kind of issue. Of course, I'm going to go into the shell command later and start working on, can I see this? Can I not? All that fun stuff. So that'll really be about it. Otherwise, it's all hooked up. It's working. I have no complaints and I'm very happy. So it's what I get for not buying a super on-brand UPS, but I also went to just spend not as much money as I could. So that's perfectly fine. I'm happy. It's going to work as intended. So that's it. All right, everybody. And well, just like that, our journey comes to an end, or at least episode 1 comes to an end. So I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope you guys did learn something, and I hope you guys learned from my mistakes that I made. Now, I probably did a very shoddy job of really explaining everything here, so if I did make any mistakes, please feel free to correct me. I will pin it in the comments if it's really something super crucial that I absolutely just blew past, because I can be an absolute moron sometimes. So if I did miss something that's really critical, or you want me to discuss, you want me to talk about, you want me to put in the video, leave a comment, I'll pin it, I'll just make it known in that capacity. So yeah, I hope you guys really did enjoy following along on the first part of this series. We have a little bit more to come, obviously. Thank you guys for joining me on part 1. And on the next episode, I'm not sure which one I'll post next, but likely it's going to be me looking into doing VMs and tunneling my IP. So then for the next portion, I can go and start working on creating modded Minecraft servers. And then I'll do a guide on exactly how to set up modded Minecraft servers, because I want to do my vanilla Bedrock, which I already have up and running. So that's straightforward. But then I have like little tips and tricks for optimization, because I don't have the greatest system compared to a lot of people, because I'm conscious on power consumption, being a college student in an apartment. So I want to make sure that I'm not using a whole lot of power there. So I don't have the greatest specs. Of course, RAM's also stupid expensive, so I can't upgrade that right now, but that's another story for another time. So I will be upgrading. I will be setting up those Minecraft servers here soon. I'm just not sure when, and I'm not sure how. I know I have 2 modded Java servers next up, since I have my vanilla Bedrock up and running. So that's really all that I can say I have planned for those next bits. And then there's one other video that I don't remember off the top of my head, but if I do, I'll make it known. Yeah, thank you guys for joining me. I will see you in the next video. Hope you learned something, and if you didn't, that's fine. Then you're just a tech wizard. So yeah. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next part. Later.